إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صل على محمد سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله هيا على الصلاة هيا على الصلاة هيا على الفلاح هيا على الفلاح هيا على خير الأعمال هيا على خير الأعمال الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم اجعل قلبي بارا وعملي سارا وعيشي خارا ورزق زارا وراضي أبرارا واجعل عند قبر نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم مستقرا بقرارا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز شأن كل شيء حالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحانه من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزب عنه معاصي العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شر يره نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق وهوى أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى فقد قال إمام علي بن موسى عليه الصلاة والسلام وما صلى الله إن شعبان قد مضى أكثره وهذا آخر جمعة منه فتدارك فيما بقي منه تقصيرك فيما مضى منه صلوات على محمد وآل محمد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I begin by advising myself and all of you to practice the piety and taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as is the best of provisions. The riwayat that I recited for this Friday, which is the last Friday from the month of Sha'ban al-Mu'azzam, is the riwayat from our eighth Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salatu wassalam, where Imam says when one of his companions by the name Abdus Salam ibn Salih al-Harawi, he said, I entered upon Imam Rada, and it was the last Friday from the month of Sha'ban. Imam said to me, Ya Aba Salt, Inna Sha'bana qad mada aktharu. Indeed, Sha'ban, majority of the month, has passed away, has passed. And what is remaining, this is the last Friday of the month of Sha'ban. Fatadarak fima baqiya minhu. Now make sure that you preserve whatever is left from this great month. Minhu taqsiraka fima mada minhu. And refrain and control your taqsir, meaning your shortcomings, your mistakes, before it's too late. Now we look at, and the reason of course I chose is, this is the last Friday from the month of Sha'ban. And next Friday, inshallah, will be the month of Ramadan. And with that said, Imam is giving us an important message, how to start preparing for that month. Now when we prepare, you understand how preparation begins at houses. I'm sure all across the globe, not just here, but all across the globe, people start preparing for the month of Ramadan. How? For example, by stocking up food maybe, by stocking up things that might be short later on, for example, or someone who has to prepare for the entire month and take care of the food. They go ahead and buy the food items that are necessary from right now so that they don't run out last minute and things are now short. Other preparations involve, for example, a center or a masjid or a mambarga to start preparing their facility to welcome the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in large numbers on daily basis. For example, it would involve getting all the volunteers together and giving each one of them a task so that, you're involved for this, you're responsible for this, and you're responsible for that. So different people, all of us, sort of anticipate the beginning of Ramadan, and we prepare ourselves in one way or the other. With all that preparation that is going on, primarily for the physical aspect of our existence, what to eat, where to sit, what the place would be like, all that stuff, we need to focus on what Imam is saying over here, the spiritual aspect of preparation of the month of Ramadan. That while you might be doing all the other preparations which are equally important, but this is much more important, if not, that you fail to prepare yourself spiritually for the month, and all you did was to take care of the physical aspect of the month of Ramadan. So Imam says, indeed, majority of Sha'ban has passed. This is the last Friday. Tadarak, meaning close off, turn off, or to, saddun naqs, it's how translated as, put a barrier as far as your naqs or your defects are concerned. Islah, make sure that you go ahead and do islah, correct the mistakes before it is too late. And then Imam continues by saying, وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْإِقْبَالِ عَلَى مَا يَعْنِيكَ وَتَرْكِ مَا لَا يَعْنِيكَ. So of course, we say, well, Imam, what do you mean? This is a very ambiguous statement. It is a very open-ended statement. Can you explain and elaborate as to what do you mean that we should do tadaruk of this month? What does that include? Imam says you should welcome that which matters to you, good, and refrain which does not concern to you, lahv or batil. So that is one way of looking at it. You should anticipate the good and you should refrain from that which is lahv and batil. And then Imam gets into further, intricacies of it, and then juz'iyat of what should you be doing. So no one should have any excuse saying, oh, I don't know what to do. No, Imam is giving you exact details as to what should you be doing for the preparation of this month. وَأَكْثِرْ مِنَ الدُّعَاءِ وَالْإِسْتِغْفَارِ وَتِلَاوَةِ الْقُرْآنِ. Increase your supplications, increase your istighfar, and increase your recitation of Quran. And to an extent, we all do that. This is something which you'll say, well, you don't really need to tell me that I need to read more Quran. I already read more Quran. People get in the mood of reading Quran more often, especially in the month of Ramadan. You don't need to tell me to make more dua. Every day if I'll be breaking the fast with community together, and I'll be praying in Jamaat, and there'll be dua. I'll be making supplication already. And as far as the istighfar is concerned, yeah, daily recitation of dua, iftitah is the best way of seeking repentance and istighfar from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is something which is already understood. And then Imam says, وَتُبْ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِن دُنُوبِكَ لِيُقْبِلَ شَهْرُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكَ وَأَنْتَ مُخْلِصٌ لِلَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Return to your Lord, make tawbah from your sins so that you welcome the month of Allah in the state of sincerity. Meaning what? When you walk through that door, when you are about to face what is about to come and be the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let go and remove all those things that might be, for example, laying some sort of wazn or a barrier or weight upon you. Remove that weight as soon as you walk into this month of Ramadan. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Then Imam continues by saying, don't leave any amanat hanging on your neck unless you have paid it off. Return it to the owner. Don't keep any enmity or hostility in your heart toward another mu'min, and any sin which you have committed unless, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, washes it away. So we look at, these are simple things that Imam is reminding us, but equally important because we sometimes overlook some of these things. So I'll go through the entire riwayat quickly, and then we'll derive some of the points from it. Imam said, وَاتَّقِ اللَّهِ وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَيْهِ فِي سَرَائِرِكَ وَعَلَانِيَّتِكَ. Fear Allah and fear Him in your private life as well as in your public life. And whoever puts his trust in Allah, He will suffice him. Indeed, Allah carries through His commands. Certainly, Allah has ordained a measure and extent for everything that you do. Imam continues by saying, وَأَكْثِرْ مِنْ أَن تَقُولَ فِي مَا بَقِيَ مِنْ هَذَا الشَّهْرِ. And make this dua excessively during the remaining few days of the month of Sha'ban. So this should be something that you look upon in the last few days of the month of Sha'ban. This dua should be wird of your tongues for the remaining days. What is the dua Imam says? He says, make this dua. فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا فِيمَا بَقِيَ مِنْهُ إِنْ لَمْ تَكُنْ غَفَرْتَ. Allahumma, O Allah, إِنْ لَمْ تَكُنْ غَفَرْتَ لَنَا. If you have not forgiven that which we have committed fima mada min Sha'ban, from that which the month of Sha'ban has passed, O Allah, if you haven't forgiven me until now, for me in these few days of Sha'ban, indeed, free me or forgive me from the sins or the things that I'm carrying upon my back. So make this dua as much as you can, because the mercy and the doors of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are about to be open, wide open, as soon as the month of Ramadan starts. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now 3 days prior to Ramadan, which will be, as we're expecting it to be Thursday, be the first of the month of Ramadan. So you're looking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. These 3 days, keeping them in mind, Sixth Imam said, Man sama thalathata ayyamin min akhir Sha'ban wasalaha bi shahr Ramadan kataballahu lahu sawma shahrayn mutatabi'ain. Again, this is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where does 3 fast equal to 60? In which maths 3 equals to 60? There's no math formula that'll tell you that 3 is equal to 60. They're not just equal, they're not equal. 3 is 3, 60 is 60. And you can go ahead and do the math and division to find out how much, deficiency there is in 3 as when it comes to 60. But Imam says what? He says, if you were to fast the last 3 days of the month of Sha'ban and connected with the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will count that to be as if you have fasted for 2 continuous months, and the thawab of fasting for 60 straight days. So imagine, the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't stop to surprise us. It continues to surprise us. It says a fast which doesn't bear any benefit. Now, a lot of time people will fast. They will continue to fast, but of course their fast may not be bearing anything as far as the fruits of it are concerned. You recite this ayat all the time. You hear the ayat of Surah Baqarah which says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Fast so that you become muttaqin. Someone might say, well, if that was the case, I would have become muttaqi long time ago. I have not become muttaqi thus far. Does that mean fasting is lacking something? Fasting does not fulfill the promise that it has in it. Some of us might be fasting for 10 years. Some of us might be fasting for 15, 20 years. Some of us might be fasting for 50 years sitting over here, right? So, I call myself to be mu'min, and I'm not being pragmatic about it, or I'm not showing, inkisari or ajizi, humility, that I don't see the athar of taqwa developing in me. He says, the ayat of Quran is correct. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says fast so that you become muttaqi, you do become muttaqi when you fast. But when you fast according to the conditions set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To highlight that furthermore, Fatimatu Zahra salamullahi alayha said, and you've heard this, Ma yasna'u as-sa'imu bisiyamihi idha lam yasun lisanahu wa sam'ahu wa basarahu wa jawarihahu. She said that there's no benefit. What's the benefit of fasting if a person cannot control his tongue, his ears, his eyes, and the other body parts? If you can't control them while you're fasting, then of course you won't see the athar and the effects of taqwa developing in you. So what I wanted to mention in the last few minutes that I have, I don't know if I'll be able to get into the last few minutes, the 5 elements that devalue your fast, and the 5 elements which give value to our fast. Maybe I might not be able to get into the details of these 10 things, but at least I'll get them out there so that you can ponder over it later on. 5 elements that devalue your fast. Now, these aren't necessarily the thing that break your fast. That'll be a separate story. That'll be a different story. Something that breaks the fast. The fast is already gone. Here, you completed the fast, physically speaking. You stopped eating when you had to stop eating. You broke the fast when you were allowed to break the fast. You didn't do anything throughout the day which would compromise this fast. So we're talking about something which did not invalidate the fast, but devalued your fast. So fasting has a value. Now, how does it lose the value? These are the things mentioned in the Kalam of Masumi. Number 1, Imam says, bad thoughts. Just the thoughts that come to your mind, something that can devalue your fast. Fasting is in the physical sense, means being obedient in abstaining from food and drink and all those things which break your fast from dawn till dusk. But spiritually, it means controlling the 5 senses from doing anything unpleasant, as well as keeping the heart pure from any bad thoughts. So something, thoughts, how do you control your thoughts? Can we be penalized for our thoughts? No, you're not penalized. There's no penalty for something that you thought in your mind. No rule book or law book will go ahead and punish you for thinking. Now, nobody can read your mind, but if you go ahead and tell people this is what I was thinking, yes, maybe you might be apprehended before the crime is committed, but nobody is going to go ahead and punish you for the bad thoughts. So only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is someone, alimun bidhat as-sudur, who has complete knowledge of what is hidden in the hearts. He knows what your intentions are. He knows what is running through your heads. I've said this before, and you've heard it before, so forgive me for reminding you and repeating this, that Hazrat Isa ibn Maryam, salamullah alayhi, he said that to his companions, he said, Moses told you to refrain from committing adultery. I am telling you to refrain from thinking about committing adultery. There's a difference between the two. Moses said, stay away from this evil act. It is forbidden, it is haram. I'm telling you to refrain from even thinking about committing this evil act. There's a difference between the two. What's the difference? And then, of course, one of the scholars, Ayatollah Qarati, he gave an example. He said, imagine you have this room, this is a larger room, but a smaller room, 8 by 10 room, you freshly paint it with a bright color. Now, if you were to go ahead and build fire inside that room, and you'll be careful because you don't want to burn down the room, but you build fire inside the room. Even if you don't burn down the walls, just building the fire inside the room, what are you going to do? The ashes will fly, the flames will fly, and they can go ahead and stain the fresh paint in the room. The walls will be tainted with the fire and the ashes that are flying from it, right? So therefore it says, even if you don't burn down the building, just the fact that you built a fire inside, meaning you put something in your mind, you corrupted the walls. Same thing is when you think about this action, you're corrupting your mind. And therefore refrain from even thinking about it, having this bad feeling. So as far as the bad thoughts are concerned, that is something which goes ahead and devalues your fast. Number 2, impure morsel and effects. Fast must be void of any doubtful food. Now, I'm not talking about during the day when you're fasting, you eat anything. No, before beginning your fast and after breaking your fast, you eat something which is doubtful. All day long you did is ibadat, now you're consuming something which is probably not halal for you to eat. That devalues your fast as well. Number 3, maligning or slander or defame. Fast is destroyed. Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 4 things destroy the fast and make it void. One of them is slandering others. Now, if I was to slander someone while I was fasting, Sharia does not say that this fast is gone. But if anything, it is makruh to use such words to go ahead and slander anyone. So therefore, we see that even sometimes when we use our regular speech, when we're talking to one another, we got to be mindful of how we speak. Torment in the grave. Prophet advised Amir al-Mu'mineen, in which he said, O Ali, abstain from ghibat and slandering, as ghibat destroys the fast and slandering causes torment of the grave. So all of these do what? They also devalue your fast. Number 3, that was number 3. Number 4 is to be disrespectful toward parents. So how is that related to fasting? It is very related to the fasting. Being disowned by the parents, not having the radayat and the satisfaction of the parents can also devalue the fast. You know, in ahkam shariat, that if a child fast, mustahab fast, without the satisfaction of the parents, for example, parents that don't fast today, he said, no, I want to fast on 15th of Sha'ban. It's a mustahab fast. Father says, no, don't fast. And if he fasts, this fast has no value. Because the father was saying, don't fast. Mother was saying, don't fast. It did not make the fast invalid, but has no value. So, well, 15th of Sha'ban, I have to fast. No, you got to also have the rizayat and the satisfaction of the parent in order to go ahead and have any sort of value for this fast. So if parents is stopping you from doing so, then you should not fast. And that's where the value lies, and that's where the more thawab would be for you. So it says, disowned by the parents, aside from abstaining from muharramat and avoiding makruhat, one must do not do anything that annoys or teases the parents. Fast by someone whose parents aren't satisfied with him has zero value whatsoever. And lastly, arrogance and vanity. One of the calamities of the fast from the ethical perspective is arrogance and riyah, show off. Although when a fasting person fasts, the last thing on their mind is to show off, because you're going through the struggle of abstaining from food and drink. It's not like prayers that you can show off to someone that, look how beautiful my recitation is and how punctual I am when it comes to the salat, and how, my salat is filled with the humility and khudu and khushu. Fasting, you don't try to show off because you're suffering, you're struggling, you're going through the actual pain of not eating and drinking for a long, long time. But it's still some time, shaitan can penetrate and the riyah might come. So these were the 5 elements. Quickly remind you: bad thoughts, impure morsel, maligning, number 4, disowned by the parents, and number 5, arrogance and vanity. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. 5 things that give value, I'll just list. I won't go in the depths and the details of it. Number 1, Imam Shanasi and Vilayat. Yes. Knowing the Imam of your time, believing in the Vilayat of the Imam of your time, both of these things have direct association with all of your amal, not just fasting. Let me tell you a hadith which all of you have heard, then you can connect the 2 things. Man mata walam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliya. Whoever left this world, died, did not have the recognition of the Imam of the time, did not believe in the vilayat of the Imam of the time, did not have Imam Shanasi, died a death of an ignorant person. So that ignorant person, does his fast has any value? No, of course not. There's no value of the fast of such an individual. And there's some other riwayat in this regard to further prove this point. Number two, that which gives value to your fast is God-fearing, wara. Remember, when Rasulullah gave that khutbah of Sha'ban, Amir al-Mu'mineen asked Rasulullah, oh Allah, Rasulullah, what is it that we can do to make our fast better? Rasulullah said, al-wara, make sure that you abstain from that which is haram, not during the fast, even outside of when you have broken the fast, remain from committing anything haram. Number three, infaq, spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the best time when you're hungry and you're thirsty and you are going through this pain. Of course, for some, body takes a toll, so it's a painful experience. And when your heart is molded and your heart is already softened for many things, right away, you also soften your heart and you go ahead and spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the best times to practice what is called infaq. And one of the ways of practicing this infaq is by providing food to those who are mu'mineen and as well as those who are deserving and needy. So you see, there are a lot of places where you and I get to enjoy full course of meal when we're breaking our fast, but many people are not that lucky. Number four, educational aspect of fasting, that if you gain knowledge while you're fasting, you learn. And that's why we have the daily speech before you break your fast. So we make sure that we provide some education before you can go ahead and break your fast. 30 days of the month of Ramadan, that is also adding value to your fast. And lastly, forgiving and letting go. Another dimension of fasting which elevates an ordinary fast is by forgiving and letting go of some others' mistakes. We're very quick to judge someone and to pick someone to see if someone is doing something wrong, yet we are the last to go ahead and pick out the same mistake from our own akhlaqiyah. So therefore, while you are looking out for others and you're trying to improve other people's life, you should also continue to do the same thing when it comes to you. So these are the 5 elements which increase the value of your fast. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the maximum ability and the strength to refrain from the first 5 things and to be able to practice the latter 5 things that were mentioned in Nas al-Hadith wa Ablagh al-Mu'idha Kitabullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asri. Innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته غضب وبسط اليدين بالرحمة سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها فنسيات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد المعاصي لعباد إلا كرما وجود ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا عفوا وصفا نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو لا طوفان للعباد بجوده والأفواد والمذنبين بحلمه ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين ألا قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليه وعلى سيد النساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما هي آثار البدع والطغيان هادم ابنة الشرك والنفاق حاسد فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام اتصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه واجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمرائنا المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا وأولاده المعصومين حجج الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده وبصل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. وربنا افرغ علينا الصبر وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة لابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jummah Mubarak to you all. Let us recognize the sponsors for today's Jummah lunch. It is the family of Mr. and Mrs. Sajjad Dinani. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for their marhumin as well as your own marhumin. Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawm ad-din. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata al-mustaqim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Just a couple of announcements for the upcoming program. These are majalis for Isal Sawab majalis for two marhumin. So tomorrow night after Maghriban, there will be Majlis Aza to commemorate the soyam of Marhuma Farida Sayyid, who was buried yesterday, mother of Dr. Amir Ali. So please, you're requested to join tomorrow night after Namaz-e-Maghriban. Inshallah, Majlis will take place here. And then on Sunday, there's another Isa alayhi Sawab Majlis for Marhuma Saleha Bashir Ali Abdullah, mother of Sister Amreen Razak and mother-in-law of Brother Zain Razak. That Majlis, inshallah, Sunday, March 19th. It will start at 5 p.m. and of course it'll finish before Namaz-e-Maghriban. So keep in mind both of these majalis. Tomorrow's majlis will be after Maghrib, and Sunday's majlis, inshallah, will be at 5 p.m. On Monday, which will be the day of Nowruz, March 20th, 27th of Sha'ban, inshallah, we will have the Amal of Nowruz starting at 5 p.m. The time of Tahweel is 5:24. Quick, brief Amal, inshallah, which will take place as we've done it in the past as well. Aside from that, another community announcement, inshallah, as I announced, Ramadan will start most likely from next Thursday, March 23rd, and annual Ramadan celebration in the Franklin Township. It says joins community members and leaders to celebrate Franklin Township's third annual Ramadan lighting ceremony, not lightning, lighting ceremony, which will be on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. So this is before Ramadan begins at 6 p.m., 4475 DeMott Lane, the municipal building here in Somerset County. That's where the event will take place, 30 minutes long. Community leaders of different faiths will get together, and of course, to honor the beginning of the month of Ramadan. So that is something, inshallah, we're all expecting, hopefully, you to come and join us, 6 p.m. on Tuesday, March 21st. Oh, Nowruz. Okay. Okay.
That one. And on Tuesday, but Maulana mentioned about the Ramadan lighting, we have a lot of non-Muslims coming to show solidarity and unity. So I really, really appreciate if you and your family come and show that the Muslim community also cares.
Sure.
Please, 6 o'clock, it won't take much long, than half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. We have mayor and a few officials are coming to speak, so your presence is really appreciated. It's just right around the corner, about 2 miles from here.
Asantum. So keep that in mind, inshallah. Let's proceed with the dua shifa for all of those people who are in need of dua, those who are suffering, struggling, going through difficult time, physically, spiritually, financially, mentally. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring them out of their difficulty with the recitation of this dua, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض إله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. Let's proceed to Salatul Asr. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح.